One. Hello, everyone. We just got finished talking about the New York Times bestseller, which we now know can only be done if you're traditionally published. And then number two, the USA Today bestseller, and all those wonderful, intimidating numbers. Those were some big numbers. But we're going to talk to someone who actually made it to the USA Today bestsellers list. And I'm going to just go ahead and let her introduce herself. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, sweetie. How are you today?
Doing well.
So, it's always a thrill and an honor to be here with you. So I am excited to get started. So for everybody out there, I am an indie author. So I kind of have to figure and explain that out to people, because when you're thinking of USA Today and you said the numbers, so you guys already know it, they're big and intimidating. So there's two ways for an indie author to get into the list. You can do it yourself, which is great. If you have the finances, you have the time, it's going to take some time, you can do it. I went with a group. And the first disclaimer I had to tell, because I think when I first started, I heard this all the time. It's like, well, if you do it with a group, it doesn't count. Let me tell you, sweetie, it counts. The letters are for everybody. It's like joining varsity. One player doesn't actually just be the whole team, but it made it easier to handle the finances, the time. But let's be honest, I have never worked as hard as I did for this promotion of this book as I did in a group. So that's the first thing I want everybody to feel like. I was in that group at the beginning that, well, it's a group, it doesn't really count, until I had to do the work. And I'm like, oh no, I have worked really hard. So we had a collaboration. Honestly, I was extremely blessed to get in this collaboration with a group. The company that put it together was amazing. There was over 25 of us, and we spent about 6 months working on this. It was a whole bunch of oh yes, trust me, tons of pre-planning, tons of pre-sales, but it was very much committing to authentic sales. I think that's the part most people didn't realize, because I was putting my soul out there. The people that were buying was because this was my dream. This is something that meant a lot. We were hustling like I've never hustled in my life. But the goal is to get as many pre-sales as possible. And then that week of it, you're going to work like you have never worked in your life. And all of the people in the group are committed to doing this, because the part is, you cannot have all your sales at Amazon. You have to have Amazon, you need Apple, you need Kobo, you need them all to truly be an entire picture. It can't just be an Amazon bestseller. So most people kind of got that a little bit confused. We sold over 5,000 copies of this anthology. Huge. We did amazing numbers, even though we had some issues with Amazon that kicked back our book right up the release day. So we had to catch up again. But it's something that you can do as long as you can work well with others, as long as you're willing to follow the plan, and you have to be able to do it, or you're going to find yourself struggling to commit, to understand, to meet the deadlines, and to be able to keep up with the schedule.
Okay, I think you covered the first question already. How did you make it to the list? I do have a 1A, or actually it should be 1, because I hadn't asked the question yet. So I have a question number 1.
Yes.
We just read about that you should definitely do it on a Tuesday, because then your Monday numbers count. So are there any other little tiny details that we should know? I mean, you just did you have to have Amazon, Kobo, and all of that. So now we understand what we mean overall. Like, you can't just have all your sales on Amazon. Is there any other tiny detail that we should know? Because I'm very interested. I want to try to make it by myself. I lied.
You're going to have to, and you have to realize the sales count for the entire week. So you're going from the Monday when your book's released, all your pre-orders count. So one of the things we kind of tell authors is, when you're getting to release your book and you're doing it by yourself, try to avoid those Tuesday dates, because you are competing with all the major publishing companies that are trying to make the list. But you're looking from that Monday through Sunday. So it's the entire period. And then the actual list doesn't come out till like the following week. So you have like 5 days of pure panic attacks, like how does the numbers count? And USA Today is awesome because it's strictly numbers. So when you're thinking about it, they're looking at what is the total. It's 150. So you have 150 possibilities to do it. You are competing with some really big names, depending what's out there. You have ones that have been on the list for months, are still there. But things to consider is, don't stop on that Tuesday. Like, you can't just count on those. You have to keep going the entire week. You have to keep pushing it. You have to keep asking. You can ask people to give your book away. You can ask people to give it as a gift, give it to different people, because they're looking at that is how much can you sell in that. The good news with that is, with Amazon, as you continue to sell, organically is going to start giving it to more people. So the more you sell throughout the week, the more Amazon's algorithm is going to help you out and continue to get you on the top. And as they see the sales climbing throughout the week, you're going to go see a spike in everything else across the board.
Also takes care of the hard work. So can you tell us a bit about the hard work that is involved? Because we just read that you have to continue to work throughout the week. You got to make sure everybody makes their post. So what does that mean, that everyone makes their posts and has a big list?
Here's a couple of things, and I follow different authors, both indies and traditionals. And there's one of the things that they did. One of the ones I love is Nick Stevenson. So he's out of UK, and he did an anthology. And by the way, Nick has amazing fellowship, but he did an anthology as a group to actually make it. He got most of his followers and sales through his newsletter. So email direct. So he was emailing his direct newsletter the whole entire time. He also has some amazing bonus. It's like, hey, this anthology is like 99 cents. If you do, I'm going to get you a free one of my books. Here's how you do it. So he was able to connect with that. And I think with him, 85% of the sales came from their newsletter. So if you're not building a newsletter, and I know some authors have conflicts of like what they believe, but a newsletter that you own, that is your news, that is your email, you can directly connect with them. And if you have that connection and you've been building it up to it, you can ask your followers like, hey, readers, I'm doing this. Can you help me out? You'd be surprised how quickly that works. So you have that connection. You email them for your pre-orders. You email them about 2 months later. Then you email them release day. Then you email them on Sunday. So for me, at the beginning, it was hard. I was like, I'm bothering people. Then I forgot. I'm like, wait, I write for a living. And these people join me because they want to hear from me. You're not bothering people. So email your list. For your posts, here's the tricky part, is you don't want to be spammy. You don't just want to drop a link to this, hey, buy this and disappear. So when we talk to people about joining groups and be able to promote it, it's still creating those relationships. You still want to be that person that is real, that is authentic, that they're there without being spammy and just dropping this whole buy this book thing and I'm never going to see you again. That's kind of what you're looking for. And you have to post all the time. Facebook, like Amazon, is an algorithm. People are going to follow what they see in those trends. Your post for Tuesday might not be seen until Thursday. So you have to be able to kind of give them those expectations and be able to be in their face and tell them how much it means to you. Be honest, be authentic, be present, but realize it's going to be a lot of work because every time you post, you're going to have to reply. You have to reply back. And by the way, individually, don't do a group like, oh, thank you, my friends. Here's the catch. If you reply individually, you're adding to the algorithm. You're pushing that post back up. You're getting it back in people's faces and you're connecting with those people. So it's kind of, when it comes to indie writing, when it comes to writing as a whole with a traditional indie, there is a part that is the art, you have the craft, and then you have the business. The USA Today's list is all the business and you have to learn what the business rules are. And then you got to use them to your advantage. But you don't have to change who you are to sell your soul to make it. You just have to be authentic and willing to put some work into it.
Thank you so much, Ms. DC Gomez. Now, can you tell us where we can find your books, number one? And number two, well, let me do that. Let's switch it. Number one, what do you write in some of the titles? Number two, where can we find those books to buy them to make you go to a USA Today bestseller by yourself?
Hey, that is one of the things on my list of things to do. So I'm never going to put it out there. It just has to be one of those things that I'm committed, have the time and feel like playing again. So for anybody looking for my books, I'm one of those mixed genre kind of girls. I do lots of quirky, lots of action, lots of fun. So if that's what you like to read, come and see me. I do urban fantasy. I do devotionals, God, I do children's, I have women's lit. Did I mention I do a little bit of everything? So I'm a little ADD, so I'm going to give you a little bit of everything. You can definitely find me on Amazon. You can find me in Barnes and Nobles. But if you're trying to get directly to my site and learn a little more, it is dcgomez-author.com. You can kind of get from there. There's links to the books and kind of pick it up. It's a little bit of fun.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to move on to, I believe we're going to move on to expanding our brand and going from just making the books and to going into other areas which your books can start you on the journey of.